The Middle East conflict between the Palestinians and Israel has been raging for many years. Over the years, there were many attempts to negotiate a lasting peace, but all failed. Meanwhile, the toll of human life kept rising. Every year, every day, and sometimes every hour. Finally, there was a glimmer of hope, starting with the Madrid Conference in 1991. 2 years later, in Oslo, Norway, after a long, secret negotiation, an unprecedented declaration of principles was agreed upon, based on the exchange of land for peace. New hope seemed to be on the horizon.
Together, today, with all our hearts and all our souls, we bid them shalom, salam, peace.
There were many obstacles to peace. The status of 5 million Palestinian refugees scattered throughout the region, the borders between the two sides, and the future control of the borders with neighbouring countries, the sharing of the world's holiest city, Jerusalem. But a major obstacle was advancing, and this put Ramallah and Tel Aviv at odds. The Israeli colonies, or settlements, in the heart of Palestinian land. This obstacle was a direct threat to the guiding principle for the entire negotiation: land for peace.
The Israeli settlement policies started almost with the beginning of the occupation. The different Israeli governments had different understandings of the same concept of settlements.
The first settlement in the West Bank had been constructed a few weeks after the 1967 war. That was the Kfar Etzion. A year later, a bit more than half a year later, 1968, a group of settlers had moved to Hebron. They had moved to Hebron by the agreement back then, which had been done between them and the military. They were supposed to stay in Hebron only for a week and only during the Passover.
Within 2 weeks after Israel conquered, already there were plans for settlements. There were plans for what we're going to keep. There were plans of giving Palestinian areas back to Jordan. The Jordanian option was the option of the Labour Party. So that the idea that this is our country, we've now grown our country. Now the trick is, how do we keep it and keep control of the land and make this all the land of Israel, but get rid of the Palestinian population? That, until today, from 1967 until today, remains the essential issue.
Even those settlements were deeply rooted within the Zionist ideology. No clear policy within the ruling Labour Party of Israel had been set on how to begin the settlement enterprise. All changed in 1974 with the formation of Gush Emunim, the Bloc of the Faithful. The ideological settlement movement was born in the settlement of Kfar Etzion by some fundamentalist rabbis who claimed to be called by God to extend the borders of Israel from the Jordan to the sea.
The ideology is that Zionism and the will of God coincide here on the land of Israel. That this land was given to the Jewish people by God, and nobody, no government, no individual has the right to give a piece of this land to anyone besides a Jew. It comes from the ideology of Rabbi Kook, the Orthodox Zionism, which didn't have the opportunity in 1948 to actually exercise this ideology because the original Zionism movement was secular.
Ghosh Emunim struggled to find its place within the primarily secular Israeli society and ruling Labour Party. But in 1977, with the election of Prime Minister Menachem Begin and his appointment of Ariel Sharon as Minister of Agriculture, they found their champions. The partnership between the hardline Begin and his settlement bulldozer, Sharon, changed the face of the occupied territory. By the time Mr. Begin left office in 1983, more than 100 settlements scattered throughout the occupied territory were now home to the most fundamentalist settlers.
Sharon was appointed by Begin to be the head of the Ministerial Committee on Settlements. Sharon was charged by Begin with two things. One, to create facts on the ground, settlements, roads, infrastructure, everything. Facts on the ground that make it impossible